What's going on, family? This your girl, Miss Sharika, checking in for another edition of Mama Didn't Tell Me This. Okay, this is a real question. So, to hoe or not to hoe? That's the question. And this is for our single ladies and ladies who are married. You know, you can spice it up a little bit too. Well, she's back. Tammy McDonald of Madlock Resources. She is back to break it down. Ooh, I love her. She's a sexologist and a mental health counselor. And as always, you got your boy DJ Schoolboy, your boy Trey, and my girl Lainey in the house. Now let's start the show. Happy Monday. What's going on, fam? Happy Monday. How are you? Good. How are you doing? Okay. What did you do this weekend? Okay. Well, what did I do? Thank you for asking. What did I do? Oh, I took my son to the gym. I had the times mixed up. It was between, I was getting him hyped, like we about to go swing because he loves swinging at this little gym. And got him hyped up, got to the door. I was ringing the doorbell in the gym and I was like, where y'all at? They're like, we left. Like, why did you leave? They were like, you're supposed to be here at 9:30. I said, oh, I thought it was 10 o'clock, 10 to 12. They were like, no. When I tell you, Austin acted a plum fool. He did not want to leave on that door. He was banging on the door, opening up the door. It was just not a good sight. So what did I do? I felt so bad. So I was like, let's take him to the Children's Museum so he can at least have some type of activity. Why did I do that? Because I felt really bad. However, when we got there, they too had swings. However, the swings were closed. And when he saw those swings, I felt like somebody took the joy all out of him. So what did I do? I grabbed his 40-pound ass and swung him myself back and forth. Mom was tired at the Children's Museum, but he got the chance to swing, and that made him happy. So I did that. And then after that, I did nothing at all. I think I watched the Super Bowl. Who knows? I don't even know who won, actually, just to be real. So yeah, that's what I did. So anyway, let's get into the show. Before the show, the pre-show, they are already kind of live, and they haven't even been drinking. They've been drinking water. I'm the only one I see that have a libation. It was right there. I had to drink it. And so tonight we're going to be talking about to hoe or not to hoe. And this spawned from Jasmine Sullivan's song, how she was just talking about like, yo, I'm trying to be this good girl, but clearly the good girls are not winning. So I was like, you know what? This is a good question. To hoe or not to hoe? I'm out the game. This girl out the game. However, Tammy, our sexologist and mental health counselor, may say that you also can be a hoe for your man. So we're going to talk about this. So before we get to Tammy McDonald, let's bring the people on the show. So we got your boy DJ Schoolboy. What's going on?
What up? You doing all right?
Got your boy Trey. Hey, Trey. Pay your phone bill. Take your mic off of mute. My girl Lainey. What's going on, Lainey?
Hey. You're not the only one.
I haven't seen. Oh, thank God. I haven't seen you in a minute. And then we got this cousin. She seems to be coming up all the time. Hey, Raya.
Cousin Ray.
All right,
Cousin Ray. Welcome.
Cousin Ray got a drink too.
Oh, yay. But you said water. So let's just jump in. How everybody doing today?
Great.
So who won the Super Bowl? I mean, like for real, who won the Super Bowl?
Go Brady.
Tom Brady. It don't even matter what team. It was Tom Brady. Nobody
What
cares
team
about
does
him.
he
Whatever.
play for though? What team does he play for?
Tampa Bay.
Champa Bay.
Oh, okay.
They're the champions.
Yeah.
So what I did
They're also
see,
going to be the champions of COVID. Did you see all them people standing out in the streets?
Man, enjoying themselves and about to enjoy a car.
Right.
well, hold on, guys.
They've been wilding since like Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, it's going to be
Last
bad.
week.
I would
It's
suggest
Florida,
if you
though.
have plans to go to Florida, you might want to reroute.
Florida
Yeah.
is like the wild, wild west of COVID. They don't care.
Yeah, Florida don't
There's so
care.
many old
They
people
been
that
saying
live
they
in
ain't care. They
Florida.
ain't care last
Just
year.
coughing on all the old people groceries. They don't care.
Right.
No, Mississippi was like that. I went out there to go the T-Mobile. I could have went to a T-Mobile right down the street, but I went to the one in Mississippi. Don't ask me why. Anyway, they were walking around with no mask on. I was so nervous. I just sat in the car while they was trying to transfer my data.
They have a whole grocery store in Florida where the owner doesn't believe in COVID and anybody can come in no matter what. He was like, it's a hoax and you don't have to wear a mask.
Marjorie Green.
Oh, let's not even talk about her.
Let's not get on her because that's a whole different conversation.
She's so trash.
Yes. So before, no, I didn't know who won, but I did see the halftime show. Please peel my eyes out because that was the worst show I've ever seen. Fight me if you want to.
Was that the worst one, period? Like, was that worse than any other one?
That was the worst one to me. I'm like, I was
Disney on Ice when we
like,
were kids with Brian Boyd. Did you forget Disney on Ice when we were kids with the fantastic Brian Boitano skating on a portable rink? Like that's there's places we can go from there.
No, I'm just saying
the fact that The Weeknd actually spent $7 million out of his own pocket
to do what?
He paid to bolster the show to make it a better show, and here's the thing: I wouldn't be mad. I'd be like, all right, fine. You wanted to have some little glitz and glam and stuff, but dude, they were like, oh, and he also paid for dinner for 150 healthcare workers. So at the most, let's say they paid $100 a piece. So you paid $150 to feed 150 people, 150,000, but $7 million for that. I think those 150 would have rather had given them $10,000 a piece and been like,
what was the $7 million for though?
The show. You know how many spicy nuggets I could have got at McDonald's for $7 million?
Girl.
Cause they somebody I saw a meme saying that it looked like This Is Us, the movie. Somebody was saying they look like This Is Us. Y'all know the movie? Not This Is Us or Us, the movie.
Oh.
Anyway, you have to see it.
They all looked like they had jock straps on their heads.
But they pay, I mean,
They really did, yeah.
The $700, I mean, the $7 million, did it go to like the building of the set or the people?
Production, yeah.
That's stupid. He should have saved his money because that show was the worst.
I heard from other people that if you ain't like the show, then you was just hating because he was a good singer and other stuff. I ain't watch it, so I don't know. But that's what I heard.
He's not even on my radar. He got one hit to me, maybe two.
You guys are comparing it to Beyonce. That's what I heard. I heard you guys are comparing it to Beyonce, and he ain't nobody Beyonce.
Beyonce to Prince.
So,
first of all, I would never disrespect Beyonce and compare anybody to her.
He wasn't even as good as Lady Gaga. He wasn't as good as any. I mean, he just wasn't
as good as Katy Perry.
As Katy with the shark, left shark and right shark.
Remember the left shark was all jacked up, but when she brought out Missy, that brought that show together.
And what you think? You know every artist known to man. What did you think of the show?
Well, I think all the Weeknd songs are about drugs, and so like all it did was just put it on Front Street last night. Like all the songs are just about drugs. Like I like old Weeknd, like Drake Weeknd. When he was kicking it tough with Drake, but since he kind of veered off and doing his own thing, he's not so much on my radar anymore.
I can't never tell all those light-skinned singers that Drake had with him because it was like I Heart My Caden or something. Like I don't. It just had a lot.
McCoy.
Had to be a light-skinned brother called I Heart, man. That's
well.
I think the big problem with The Weeknd was. He had done that thing where he had looked like he had all the plastic surgery as a gimmick. Did y'all see that? Where he had the bandages on and then he had like, his face looked No, he actually, remember he was at Yeah, he was at some award show, and he looked like he had like all these bandages, and then like the next day they removed the bandages, and he looked like
an alien.
He looked like plastic surgery gone wrong 10 times.
Well, it was the worst. Shout out to Jasmine Sullivan and her. They did their thing.
Yeah,
Shout out to the young lady, Amanda. I don't know her last name. She also did her thing.
Gorman.
Gorman?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Shout out to her. But let's get to it. So tonight, I am so excited that Trey and Eric was brave souls to come on and talk about hoes. Say it with me, Trey and Eric. Hoes.
There's some hoes.
Hoes with the X. With the X.
With the X? Why you gotta have the X? It can't be with the.
Because we're classy.
Oh, y'all quiet. Okay. Like hell. Is that what
fancy hoe?
Okay.
A fancy hoe.
Pinky up.
A sophisticated hoe.
So we're talking about, this whole thing about sexuality and women empowerment and that nature. And really, it's kind of like girls are out there, women are out there thinking like, should I just go out there and just be me and be like any other dude that's out there living their best life? Or should I just kind of be reserved because I don't want nobody to call me a hoe or a freak or whatever the case may be? And so hopefully today, those hoes out there and non-hoes, you all can feel confident walking away.
You got to put the accent with it. You can't just say hoe. You got to say hell. Yeah, you can't.
Is that how we're gonna be doing this all day? So anyway, let's bring up Tammy McDonald. She was here last time. She's our sexologist and counselor, and so we're really excited to have her on. So hey, Tammy.
Hey y'all, how you doing?
Doing well. So tell us what you've been up to since the last time we saw you.
Well, been grinding, as you know, with the pandemic and COVID and stuff like that. I can say that my practice has thoroughly grown because, a lot of people are coming to counseling, needing help with their mental health issues and also needing help with their sexual health issues.
Right. So let's go ahead and jump in because I want to make sure we have a lot of time. So what is a hoe? A hoe.
I mean, what is a hoe? Like, where did this word come from? What is the origin of this word? Like, I was reading and it was talking about how it was a term used back in the day, of course, to give it to a derogatory woman who had a lot of sex with a lot of men, or whatever it may be, who was sexually free. But now, with us being in the new age, we have now taken that term to make it more popular and cool thing. Because you remember back in the day, if you got called a hoe in high school or middle school, you would cry, you got upset, you was hurt. But now, you called a hoe. Thanks, girl. Thank you for calling me a hoe. That's right.
No, that does not. No, the same rules apply when I was 10 and to now. Like, what, bro? Who you talking to?
I don't know, giving for example, like especially dealing with, Jasmine Sullivan's album, Hotels, she kind of brought up some things a lot of women have been talking about, but been afraid to share.
Well, she did, and so did Megan the Stallion. And so, these are women who are reclaiming their sexuality and taking it upon themselves to tell you exactly what they like and what they want.
I think we've reached this point where everybody's kind of like, I'm going to be called a hoe or a bitch anyway, so I might as well just live for me and enjoy my life.
And I have to ask Eric and Trey, choose your words wisely. But have you ever said the word, not called, said the word or heard the word? Have you ever heard the word hoe? And if you have, what did you think it meant?
So you're saying,
hypothetically speaking, if you heard the word hoe, what would be the definition based on your recollection?
Because it's all about like where you're from. So like, being from the South, you can hear somebody be like, "You a hoe N-word," and it ain't got nothing to do with sex. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about where you're from, how the words are used. And then, a lot of times, you hear people say, well, she a hoe, and, she could have been messing with one particular person, but it's the person that you wanted to mess with. And so because she got her, she a hoe. Mm-hmm. So, you know what I'm saying? You take all them secondhand things, you know what I'm saying, for just kind of what it is, and you know make your own decision. That's my philosophy on everything.
What about you, Trey? Have you ever been a hoe, Trey? That's probably a better question. Have you
I don't know why Eric did not get this question. No, I have not.
Have you ever been a hoe?
I have not been a hoe at all. I don't think that you believe me. You're you looking like, yeah, sure, Trey. No.
It's probably been called something else, but not a hoe.
Nah, I was a good guy. But I would Eric, like what Eric said. Eric was like, how it depends on the person and the people you're around. It kind of depends on what, like, because the guys we call a guy a hoe a lot of times it's just like he a punk or this, that, or the other. And for women, most times if a woman calls another woman a hoe, they were, you know, they going around sleeping with any and everybody. That's usually, you know, the two, and then it's a whole spectrum of the term hoe, but those are the main two.
Well, I think it goes into our social sexual scripts. Basically, we have this innate thing that we're taught, like, okay, boys do one thing, girls do one thing. All right, girls, you wait to have sex till you get married. Boys, all right, you know, you get out there, you get that young piece of thing, or you know, you start getting out there, you start being sexually active at a young age. And so then, you know, as you look at like pornography as movies and media and TV and stuff like that, you always see in the guy like, oh yes, you know, it's all about him sexually, but the woman, it's never really, you know, especially in the early 70s and 60s and 80s movies, it was never about the woman being sexually pleased and stuff like that. So a woman who embraced her sensuality or her sexuality, of course, she was considered a hoe. Or if she dressed a certain way, she was considered a hoe. Even if she's not having sex with a whole bunch of people, but because she carried this certain image, because again, it goes to our social sexual scripts that we have innate in us, she automatically gets labeled a hoe.
So let's break down the social sexual scripts. Go ahead, Lani. You was about to say something.
I was having a conversation with somebody one day, and they said to me, they said, you know, girls are always brought up, you know, and especially, you know, in the church, they're brought up, you know, sex is bad, sex is bad, sex is bad, sex is bad. And then they get married and they're supposed to show out for their husband or their, you know, and they get there and they still have this video playing in their head and this audio going, sex is bad, sex is bad. How am I supposed to be sexy when I think it's bad? And there's no switch up, there's no change up, because sex is not bad, but you just need to learn, you know, there's different ways to view it and there's different ways to think about it, but they're taught, so they have like, it's hard for them to become a sexual being once they're in the parameters of their marriage, that it becomes this struggle. Mm-hmm. And I think that, you know, being able to claim your sexuality and to be able to be sexy and wear the red lipstick and, you know, wear the clothes that you want to wear and show what you want.
Why does red lipstick have to be equate to being a hoe?
No, it makes me feel sexy. When I put on red lipstick, it makes me feel sexy.
Oh, okay.
I think because back in ancient times, because red lipstick marked as that you was ready, like, you know, that your area down there was, you know, plump and ready to go and be sexually penetrated.
They were trying to say you were going.
Now,
the best piece of advice
go ahead, Rhea.
Around that though was, I remember when I was a teenager and my cousins would have because so I'm one of 36 on my daddy's side and I fall like number 30. Woo!
Oh, wait a minute. Let's put a pin in that one really quick. I'll like
so daddy was a hoe.
No, I have 36 first cousins.
Oh, okay. We thought brothers and sisters. We were like,
they're collectively. I'm about to be like, your daddy wasn't playing, boy.
Right? Did your daddy take a break?
Come on, be like, you better not even shake my damn hand. You're pregnant. Okay, go back. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
When you've got older cousins, sometimes you can get. I was really fortunate that they would talk very frankly around me. And I never forget my cousin Angie said to me, like, don't let no nigga be masturbating on you. You're not there to be no type of fleshlight for him. And at the time, I'm like 15, 16, and I'm like, what is a fleshlight? But what she was trying to get me to understand was that my pleasure was just as important as his. And it was a lesson that I just kind of carried through my whole sexual life. So
do you think we're carrying on the burden of, like, you know, the stigmas, not the, I said stigma, but, you know, basically the mentality of women in the 60s, 70s, 50s that they had? Are we still holding on to that mantra, to those ideas in 2021?
I think we're in a pivotal point where everything is kind of changing.
Up in the air.
And so, like, what you're seeing is the fight against that old traditional versus the new, like, hey, if I'm gonna be, it's okay for me to enjoy sex, and it's okay to explore my sexuality and wherever that takes me. So I think it's an exciting time.
What about you, Tammy?
Well, I think it goes back to like a thought just popped into my head, like Trey, you had mentioned like you had a daughter. Like, how would you have a conversation with your daughter? Like, hey, Dad, I'm sexually free. I'm not sure how old your daughter is, but when she gets to that age,
Trey is shaking his ass off. Do you not see that kid just going back and forth?
I'm not sure how old she is, but when she gets to that age where she could be 19, 20, 21, and she's like, well, Dad, I'm sexually free. How would that make you feel? Because given that our parents told us like, you can't, you got to do this, you got to do that, you can't be sexually free, you got to wait till you get married, all this kind of stuff.
Initially, I'm like, no, my baby girl, and I'm gonna be like drinking. I'm gonna get drunk that night, talk to my boys. That's what I'm gonna do. And then after that, I mean, when she's 19 or 20, man, she's pretty grown. I would just talk to her about how to be safe and stuff. Like I ain't gonna sit here in front. Like I'll be like, yes, baby, go out and be promiscuous. I'm not gonna do that. Like I'm gonna be bugging, like my baby girl. But then just tell her I don't want to restrict her either. So like if she comes to me at that age, it's like, yeah, man, I'll just be out here, pops. I'll just be out here, like it's fun. I like it. Like, all right, baby, okay. Well, be safe,
would you feel the same way if it was your son?
Yes. But I wouldn't be. How do you like my man? I'll be like, let's go, son. But then I'm still be like, be safe and be careful and blah blah blah.
The thing is about that you celebrated your son. You got drunk and sad with your daughter.
But how would you feel with your son and your daughter? So how would a mother
feel? So you want me to answer that, because I have a son and a daughter, and both of my kids are now in their 30s.
Okay.
So when we started having the sex talk and the sex conversation and stuff like that, something that I used to have to do was sit back to back with them so that their back and my back were together. They could tell me anything. So I could make the faces I needed to make and be like, oh God, okay, but I'm going to answer this question. And they didn't have to look me in my eyes when they were asking me the question, making them feel more intimidated. Because I wanted my children, I was a teenage parent. I wanted my children to be equipped with all of the knowledge and the protection that they could be, so that when they went out there, they made smart choices. And just like, Ray was saying, don't let somebody use your body for their pleasure. You better be out in these streets getting as much pleasure as you can, or then why are you doing it?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, I guess as a mother, it's different, because as a girl and a woman, I know what it was. I don't celebrate either one of them being sexually active, but I understand that these are things, this is, it wasn't like a cheer moment. Oh, yay, for my son. And it wasn't a yay. I think for men, it's a cheer moment for them, because you guys are like, oh, my boy. He did the damn thing.
It's testosterone. It's testosterone.
Yeah,
it's a hell of a drug.
And you're like, it even breaks down to, like, again, going back to the social sexual scripts that we have, even going to when your child has sex education, or if you had sex education, boys are taught, okay, this is your anatomy. All right, make sure you use a male condom, and that's it. Whereas girls, we have to learn about contraceptives and all this kind of stuff like that. Make sure you don't get pregnant and all this kind of things. We're encouraged, like, okay, don't you have to get sex because you're going to get pregnant. The boys are never encouraged, hey, you could get a girl pregnant. This is part of your responsibility too. So I feel like those scripts start there, and then let's say, especially if a girl gets pregnant in high school, a teenage girl, oh, she's automatically labeled a hoe, but the guy is not. Why? Because they had sex together. They both was in that same boat together. So why is she labeled a hoe and he's not? Because she has to carry the child and not he, and they both teenagers.
Or even in the church, we're making the girls apologize, get up in front of the church.
Yeah. Yep.
Trash.
I've never heard that happen before. Oh, shout out, Lanny. People are thinking you like 30. So shout out to you. Everybody's like, I can't believe.
Thank y'all.
So they give us So
she passed 30 a long time ago.
Like 2 quarters. Are you 2 quarters yet? No? Did I supposed to say that? My bad. All right. So do you feel, Tammy and anyone else on the group, that we as women, we are more judgmental than men are? Because I'm not going to sit here and just be like, oh, I was this angel. When I was younger, I have in my past said, you know, she's a thought or something like that. In my younger self, I'm more wise now. But do you think women are harder on other women when it comes to this aspect of being sexually active?
Yes.
Of course. That, and I think women are a little bit here, men are a little bit like right there. They're getting right there too. They get that judgmental side as well too.
Why do we
We
do
have to
that?
be
Why are we doing
really careful, because one of the things that we do to little girls is, if the little girl, is, we call them fast from a very young age, that fast little girl. And little girls should not be labeled as fast if they're mature or they've got questions or they're advanced. They're not fast. And fast always connotes sexual. And so when your uncle Bubba is feeling up on that little 7-year-old girl, well, she was just fast anyway. And that's a problem.
The onus of responsibility constantly being on women for everybody else's sexuality is so played to me. Like that
now,
fast
Eric?
little girl instead of that nasty dude touching on the
Right.
girl.
Exactly. And why is the uncle still invited to the barbecue?
Dog, why is he still there?
Right. Or like, even like, I even being in high school, I remember I had a friend who I was really cool with and stuff like that, who ended up sleeping with my boyfriend for some shoes at the time. And I was like, oh, she's just a hoe and everything. But older now, given the circumstances that where she came from, I understand her mindset, because she was following a pattern, what her mom was doing. If you want something, you got to use sex to get it. Of course, at that time, I didn't understand that. I was like, oh, she's a hoe. Not condoning what she did was the right thing, but I understand her mentality now that I'm older versus when I was younger.
Now, Eric, I want to bring it to you because you work with teens from all different ages. Have you found that, and I don't know if you work with girls and boys or just boys, before I ask this question.
Both.
Okay. So have you found that for girls, if they are projecting any kind of sexual activities, that is kind of tied to their self-esteem? Or, I mean, I'm curious of how teen girls in those type of scenarios that don't have a family or things of that nature, how are they handling this? Because they're going through changes at this time themselves. So, what's your thoughts?
Well, actually, so at the old facility when I was teaching, we started a girls unit, and the girls unit was about 98% all the girls were from Las Vegas, and majority well, and then out of that 98%, probably about another 97% were prostitutes. And then so you do see about a 60-40 split. Now, 60% of them came from two-parent homes, had parents making good money, and they're like, but I can make $5,000 in a weekend. And you have a 17-year-old girl, and she's like, I got Prada bags and Louis bags and all this kind of stuff, and this is over 10 years ago. And so while they were doing what they were doing, they were more mature than your typical 15, 16-year-old boy. They had a whole game plan. They were, doing all this kind of stuff. And they were like, I'm going to do this now, stack money, and then live on the back end. And so you did have some of those that were more of an esteem issue or runaway, and had to find a way to make some money and things of that nature from like bordering cities, Arizona and Mexico and stuff like that. And so you did see some of those girls that was more out of necessity, but
Right.
a lot more of the girls were just taking advantage of their body, and they're like, this is what I'm gonna do. You can judge, like they were pretty actually honest and open with it, and they're like, we don't see anything wrong with it. Men want to date us, might as well profit. So
Now, somebody in the chat has said, attire. They talked about how do hoes dress. Now, if you look at a video, any video, rap video, whatever the case may be, women are overly sexual or sexually dressed in those videos. And if a woman wanted to explore her sexuality or her femininity, her dressing very, I guess, I don't know the word, being limited, which is provocatively, thank you. Does that make her a hoe? Because if she walks down the street with boobs out, short skirt, the first thing somebody gonna say about her is she's a hoe. So how can someone balance the fact that they are educated, but they know themselves, they know who they are, versus someone seeing them and just automatically just cut them off and say they're a hoe?
I
Like
don't think
how
you
can you
can.
balance?
I don't think you can in society because people are
Mm-hmm.
automatically gonna look at her that way. Like
Right.
it's just gonna be the people that know you. Like so, like
Yeah.
if you do that kind of don't trip about that, you're not gonna think that. But 95% of guys are gonna look at it like, oh, she going, she a hoe, she this that and other, and then so they automatically gonna think that she's that way. Um, until she, even if she's talking and she's like, you know, what I'm saying super intelligent and she's just throwing out facts and all this stuff, because we're in a patriarchal society, is automatically that's gonna be secondary. It's not even gonna, you're not even gonna register that. You're just gonna register looking at her and thinking that she's a hoe or whatever.
Right. Whereas it had been a man, as it has been a man dressed as well, not dressed the same way as her, but dressed provocatively. Of course, he's not looked at that. He's not
Right.
looking that way. He's looked at like, okay, he's sexy, he's fine. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
he
he's
got
wearing
that.
them
Well,
jogging pants.
I think there's other thing that we need to talk about is the sexualization of black women versus white women. You can have white women in the same dress that you put a black woman in, and a black woman has more curves, or you know, she just wears it the way she wears it, and all of a sudden she is this hoe, where there is this white woman and she's just, you know, she's just fine and she's just, you know, cute. She's just a cute little girl, because black women again have been over sexualized since the dawn of time, especially during slavery, because black women were seen as breeders.
I
And
feel like if you can look at a fat dude in a basketball jersey and know he's not a professional basketball player, you can look at a girl in a short skirt and know that she's not necessarily a hoe.
yeah, at some point you have to take back your own sexuality and be like, fuck it. I'm wearing what I wear. What you think about me is your opinion and your business. It's none of my business. How if I feel good in this, this is me. This is what I'm wearing, and this is how I'm going out.
That's where parents come in, because you got to teach your daughters like, hey man, like you are special. You know, you can dress any way you want. That empowers you. So they don't. So if they go out here and somebody does call them that, you know, they shake that off. Like, man, whatever. He's small minded, dude. He's small minded. This, whatever. Shake it off. And in that way, I mean, it's still gonna be rough because it's like the world is still gonna be coming at them because they're young black women. But you know, as they get older, they'll be able to, you know, be empowered by that, and not let other people talk about it. And then when they get older, you know, you start seeing guys, and we stop being so dumb as much, and then you know what I'm saying, we can start seeing it more like, oh, okay, well, she does just like that, but yo, she's bomb, like she's smart, man. She does this and that. You know, it might take 40 years, but
it shouldn't be a but.
Right.
It shouldn't be. I ain't saying it should. I'm just saying it is what it is.
She's beautiful, but she's smart. No, she's beautiful and she's smart.
Yeah.
Or even like the young lady, what's her name? Is her name Chloe?
Yeah.
Girl.
Chloe Bailey,
you know, how like she was so upset, you know, doing something so innocent where she was just saging. She wasn't doing nothing sensual, nothing sexual, just simply doing a sage and cleanse and everything. And you see how society jumped on her so hard because she has this good girl image. Oh, now because you're doing this kind of activity in, was a swimwear bottom or her underwear? I don't know. Now she's labeled as a hoe or too sexual.
Right. I mean, we've been over sexualized since Sarah Bartman, right? Also known as Venus Hottentot. You know, she was put up in a museum for people to ogle. And that's a problem. We have to break the stereotypes. How I dress does not define who I am.
That's true. Now, on the flip side of that, you know, and I want to kind of bring it to, you know, marriage. So you had made a point, Tammy, or one of you guys, Ray, one of you guys, anyway, talked about how, you know, we are told, we're growing up in the church and we're told not to be sexual, and then we get married and then it's kind of like, oh, we shouldn't do that. So for those wives out there or husbands that want to be a hoe, I guess essentially for their husband, and they're so suppressed, what should they do? Because
why does she have to be a hoe for her husband? Why can't the husband be a hoe for her?
I mean, he can do that too now.
And is it necessarily being a hoe, or are you just enjoying sex, going on a sexual journey with your
partner?
But
I think, Sharika, what you're saying is, how do you break the barrier of it being like a negative, if sex being negative, how do you break that barrier once you're in the bonds of marriage where you're supposed to be comfortable with your partner? How do you break those bonds when you've been told sex is bad your whole entire life?
Right.
It's this one thing. It's this one thing. It's called communication. You got to communicate. I mean, people forget you when it comes to the basis, the foundation of sex, it begins with communicating and talking with your partner and sharing with your partner. Hey, I like this. I want to try this. You like this? I like that. I want to use a toy. I want to use a swing. I want to do this. You got to have that communication. So if that communication is not there,
that doesn't happen automatically though.
How do you know? Yeah.
In that regard, like, yes, you talk about your needs, your wants, and things about life, but talking about, sex, and that communication doesn't happen as naturally as some people if they have been told all their life that sex was bad.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. And so I'm glad that you asked that, because here at Journey of Pleasure, we have lovely communication games to help booster that communication with your partner so you can have an open and honest and effective communication with your partner in regards to sex.
Yeah. And I see right here, thank you, shout out Latasha. Can it just be healthy sexual relationship for your spouse? And
not if one of the members of the spousal party is not in a healthy sexual frame of mind. If they're thinking that sex is nasty and it's only to procreate, then how do you remove that barrier? How do you, where, and they don't know where to go and they don't know where to turn because they're ashamed, and we have equated sex with shame so much just by using the word hoe. When you call somebody a hoe, that's supposed to be an insult, and that's supposed to make you feel bad. So how do you equate feeling sexual when you don't even know where to begin, and all of a sudden your wedding night and they're like, let's go, and you're like, ew, right. It's a pee-pee.
Right. I think that's why.
I mean, Eric and Trey, not to get in y'all lives because I don't want to know. Don't want to know. But it is a question that in the event that, you were in a relationship and your boo or whatever the case may be was just not there, how would you make her feel comfortable? Whoever want to go.
So that it's an interesting topic because for the most part, there's not too many men that don't know what they're getting into and aren't looking for somebody that's experienced. The difference is they're just not going to ask, well, what were you and the last guy doing? You know what I'm saying? But, for the most part, nobody really cares. You know what I mean? Now, if you are one of the guys that do care, then you're probably looking for somebody that's more of a virgin or whatever the case may be. But that's where you're, kind of finding out all these questions. Like, I feel like waiting till you're married is too late. You know what I mean? Like, you should have been having these conversations, not necessarily on date one, because that's kind of inappropriate, but over these years, during the engagement, during the courting process, all this stuff, like, you should think by this time you've had some of the sexual conversations and not, just trying to have sex all the time, but just talking about pleasures, what's your comfort level? Do you do this? Do you do that? You know what I'm saying? And so that's how you get to that point where you're now married and then everybody's shocked, like, oh, well, I didn't know you were going to expect that.
You'll be surprised of how many people that have come in for premarital counseling that have not had that conversation about sex. Like, yeah, they may have been together for 2 or 3 years, and yes, they have been intimate and having sex with each other, but to really break down that communication with each other in regards to sex, you'll be shocked at how many couples don't have that conversation before marriage.
Now, with
one of my old heads, I love a good old head, and he was just like, before you ready to propose, he was like, you need to tell that woman everything that you want and would expect, so that way she knows what she's saying yes to.
Mm-hmm.
So, he was like, if you want head 5 times a week, you need to talk about that and see if she's cool with that. If she's like, nah, maybe 5 times a month, you like, okay, this ain't the one. Because if you know what you want and you're telling her what you want, and vice versa, if she say, "I want head 5 times a week," and the dude is like, I can maybe get you once a month. Vice versa, you should, the female should be like, okay, you know what, this ain't what I'm looking for, because I know what it takes for me, and I know what I want, and what it's gonna be for me to be happy.
I've met
So,
women who have been afraid to be. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Do you see those communication issues bleed over into other areas of their life?
Like, what do you mean?
Like, it would seem to me that if they can't talk about sex, they probably are. There are other areas where they're having very surface level conversations and not necessarily being intentional.
Usually the other connection is either with finances.
Okay.
No finance, no romance.
So you'll find it amazing, especially when they're going through premarital counseling with me, that they have difficulty talking about sex, finances, and responsibilities in the household. Who's going to do what? Those are usually the top 3 things they have difficulty talking about during premarriage.
Now I want to flip it to the other side, because there may be men that are a little sexually suppressed, and sex for men equals masculinity. And so how could a woman or a wife kind of really get the hoe out the man? And I know it's communication, but how can you get the hoe out the man without making him feel less than?
That is an interesting question, because usually she can bring it out of him.
But say if he's just like,
Don't take much.
I don't think it takes much, but I think it's all about the approach. Like, for some women, not all, some feel like the time that they're going to be the sexiest is when they done went to brunch and then had 2 million mimosas, and now they're going to come home and I'm just going to take it from them. And
for the majority Daddy, I've had men, 6 mimosas. Let's
go. That ain't what they want.
But I've met a lot of women who are afraid to like go full throttle with their man, because they don't want their man to think, because then like at the dinner table, they get the man to be, well, where'd you learn that from? Who you learn that from? How long you been doing that? So it's hard. Like there's a lot of women who, it's hard for them to figure out when to go full throttle and when to like talk about their kinks and talk about, what it is that turns them on, and what is, and do the moan, the groan, the whatever.
Yeah, I think that's if you know if your dude is insecure or not. If your dude is insecure, you can't go all in on him. Like, I better not lift his leg up like this. Nigga, I can't be doing that.
But to that point, though, which goes back to the topic, there are a lot of insecure men. We hear "don't turn a hoe into a housewife" and all these colloquialisms that down women for just embracing their sexuality and enjoying sex. So how do we dismantle this structure so that everybody can be their true, authentic self? I think is the point we have to get to. Like, she got to be able to enjoy it, and so do you. And I got to be able to like do whatever weird shit I need to do in the moment so that I can enjoy myself.
Exactly.
And to that,
toys and all.
I see Ruby. She says,
I can't hear nothing he's saying.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I was saying I'm looking at Ruby's comment, Ruby D, and she's like, "Where you been? Who taught you that?" And like, so you're like, if we've been married for 15 years and now you starting to bring out your tricks, then you like, okay, where you been and who taught you that?
So we're just supposed to slow walk them? Where are we supposed to bring them out like a new trick a month?
Hit me in the beginning, hit me, and then we ain't gonna have no questions. But if
Trick of the month club, we just need to be in trick of the month club.
Hey baby, I'm nasty, but once a month.
You gonna get a new trick this month.
Every
hold
month.
on. Okay. I'm about to blow your mind.
Yes. My pedicure.
For my pedicure. Hey. Sometimes you gotta get a pedicure. You gotta do some things.
But that goes to the topic of, like we was talking about Jasmine Sullivan's album, with hotels and stuff like that. And in one of the audios of Donna's Tale, she talks about, if you're gonna be a hoe, you're a hoe for your husband or you're a hoe for your wife, whatever it be, because you're trying to gain something and everything. So what is it that you're trying to gain? And like, damn it, I was going somewhere with it and it just popped out my head.
If you're gonna be with somebody and you get married and you're gonna be with that person for the rest of your life, honey, you better pull every damn trick you know out the box because you do not want the same old boring cornflakes and milk.
Right.
Sometimes you need some cinnamon toast crunch.
My man.
Right.
Well,
you
if
need
I
some
got
cinnamon
a whole
toast
back
crunch.
with my partner, no,
Right.
no.
Man, you should have look.
No.
If you're again,
No
your guys,
judgment. Once
if
you've
your
entered into
guy-
that relationship,
Yeah.
no judgment.
No, I was just saying, like, if your guy is insecure, there's what you can do about that. You should know. Hopefully, you know by the time y'all get together, married or whatever, what he into, what he not, how insecure he is, and whether that's something you could deal with. You know what I'm saying? By that time, like, if it's
so don't break out the dungeon and the whips and the chains.
So Journey of Pleasure, we have lovely sex games
right.
that you can play. We have BDSM versions. We have the gentle versions. We have the easy to go versions. Again, that's journeyofpleasure.com, where you can go and pick out some communication games to play with you and your partner, because you need to know what side of the whole your partner is on. We can help you with that.
Okay, let's talk about
journeyofpleasure.com. I'll be right back.
So for that though,
go ahead.
All that is great, but picture being in a relationship with somebody for 10 years, and then all of a sudden now here comes the BDSM. And it's not like a judgment thing. It's just like, well, where it has been at for the last 10 years. You know what I'm saying? And that's where the kind of the questions come in, and you're like, you ain't like Lainey was saying, the slow walk. Like, you ain't had a whip, you ain't had a handcuff, you ain't had.
Listen, Google is a beast. Sometimes you be Googling like, I need a new person, and all of a sudden you in whips and chains, and you're like, huh?
You can't be missionary for 15 years and all of a sudden you hang from the ceiling. You can't do that.
You can't
do that. No, let's talk about Journey of Pleasure though. Let's talk about it. So for those that are, I mean, regardless of what we say that, oh, you should have known, blah, blah, before you got married, whatever. For those that are taking that first leak of wholenism and they're married or single, what's the first thing they need to purchase off your site?
Wait, if they're single or they're married, which one? Because if they're single.
Hold on, wait a minute before I go that red. What would you purchase?
Huh? Ask me that one more time.
We'll come back to you. So what's the first thing?
I can't hear your question.
Oh, no, I was saying if you was on the Journey of Pleasure site and you're single, what's the first thing you're trying to purchase?
I'm probably going to get myself a bomb-ass toy, something that's more focused on clitoral stimulation, because that's my jam when it comes to toys. Not necessarily into the penetrative things.
You need to know how to pleasure yourself before somebody can pleasure you.
For sure. I'm a big fan of the website, not to plug something different. Oh my God, yes. I tell women about that all the time. OMG, yes. Because it literally goes into, this is how your body works. Tutorials. So don't be afraid to touch yourself, ladies.
And a good book to go off of that too as well is called Becoming Clitorate. Okay. While orgasm equality matters. Okay. And that's by Dr. Lori Mintz. And again, that book is called Becoming Clitorate, so you can get familiar with the clitoris, while orgasm is important.
So what's the first thing you suggest, Tammy, that, you know what, they want to step in the whole pond? I'm going to go to the Journey of Pleasure site. Let me see what I can buy. What should I get?
Well, the best thing I would recommend is a communication game, because we need to see, I might be up here, but my partner may be down here, or vice versa. So we can kind of gauge at, okay, I'm a little bit more whore than you, oh, you're trying to step your wholeness up, and everything. And so, yes, communication games first, then go to the whips and chains.
Oh man, just communication, whips and chains. Somebody's gonna die between those two.
No. Not if it's consensual.
Everybody needs a safe word.
Yes.
Pineapple.
Okay. Sorry. So, it sounds like to me that it's nothing wrong really, being a hoe or not being a hoe. It's really up to you and how confident you are in your sexuality. And we often think, or I guess we as a community, as a society, we kind of need to take away the negative stigma of what that means to be sexually free. And then for those that are married or in a committed relationship, you have to be comfortable and confident of knowing that you can also be sexually free, regardless of what Sister Jenkins told you at Sunday school.
Sister Jenkins got the BDS room in her basement.
Right. Or Miss Jenkins probably at the lifestyle parties going to the swinger parties.
Sister Jenkins had 5
it
kids.
was nothing.
That fourth one is not her husband's.
I think it was HBO. They did a thing about swingers, or it might have been CNN, and it was nothing but old people at the swingers party. I mean, these were old people. Old people.
Yes.
That they also all had STDs. They did STDs.
They were in New Orleans at the swingers party. It was on CNN.
Right. This is us, Lisa Ling. I know.
Yes, and the couple, the man, he ain't had no teeth. It was a lot.
Wow.
It was a lot.
They were free.
I just think it's important not to yuck anybody's yum, and let's do away once and for all with these. This one's a hoe label, and this one, because it's all tied to people like how you respect them and in their integrity. And to me, sex is a bodily function. Like if I'm hungry, I'm gonna go get something to eat, right?
Right.
Well, if I'm horny, why am I the worst? Because I go get some dick.
At the end of the day, mind your own bedroom.
I love you.
Mind your own bedroom.
There you go. No yucking nobody's yum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, girl. No teeth.
No teeth. No, he really didn't have no teeth. It was an old white man. And he would walk around butt naked too. Him and his wife. And they were okay. I can go through that whole episode because I watched it twice and I was so in awe. You watched it twice? Yes. Not like that.
Were you and Virgil both watching it? Like, get some ideas, or what was going on?
Like this.
They weren't really showing things, but they were just more interviewing people.
No, it was, I always watch documentaries, and that's what I learned about Tantra. I learned more about that during that show, which we've had a group on a while back, and I wish we would have had them on longer because I would have brought not he's at the door. I would have brought Paul up here and would have just looked at his gaze in his eyes like the man talking to and just stood there. I think I would have ended up blinking and laughing. But anywho, well, I guess what we need to find out is that, or need to know that we need to be a little easy on ourselves if we're out there trying to live our best life. And for those that are,
as long as you do it safely.
Yes, as long as you do it safely. So for those that are hating on the people out there, I want y'all to give them some advice so that person is getting hated on because they're sexually free or they're not there. Give them some positive vibes. So Eric, I'll go with you first.
Do you. Do what's gonna make you happy, and that's the most important thing. Do you, and everything else will fall in place.
Trey?
If it's a young person, I'm gonna say, hey, just be careful, be safe. Don't worry about what people are saying. It's your life. Do what's gonna make you happy as long as you're doing it safely and responsibly. If you're older, I'm gonna say you're a grown ass man and grown ass woman, dog. Dude, like Eric said, go have fun. Do you? It shouldn't matter what nobody say.
Lainey?
Learn your body. Learn what brings you pleasure. If pain brings you pleasure, then that's your kink. Go with it. But learn your own body.
I think Lainey likes BDSM. Okay, girl.
You know, a little smack every now and again ain't bad.
You don't see no marks on her shoulder right there? It's like some red marks with some straps right here on her shoulder. You don't see that? Okay, sorry. Rhea.
I would say that people are going to talk about you anyway. So get comfortable with who you are and get comfortable with what you like and find a partner who you can be on that journey with, or partners if that's your jam. But it's okay to be you and embrace yourself fully, and that's including sexually as well. Mm-hmm. And stay out. And if you don't like it, stay out of somebody else's bed. It's not you. Okay, It ain't making you come, so don't worry about what they got.
Stop faking orgasms.
Oh my God! Stop faking orgasms.
How do you fake an orgasm?
Men fake orgasms too now.
Y'all be fake. Trey.
Nah, he ain't gonna until I see the baby gravy. We not done.
I've actually had a client. He's told me about a time that he has faked orgasm with this chick a couple of times because he just didn't enjoy it. So men fake orgasms as well too.
taking back and pouring water.
Baby gravy. I'm so traumatized every time I see him. Letting him be like, oh, yes, baby gravy. Tammy, I'm gonna give you this one. Now, before Tammy goes, we are taking this party. We're gonna be doing this same. We want to hear from you, hear your thoughts, your conversation. We're gonna be taking this to Clubhouse at 8:15, so you can join into the discussion for Mama After Dark. So I'm excited about that. So, but Tammy, you have give the people some advice.
I just want you to know, as you become older in your stage of life, your sensuality and your sexuality will become different. You're going to like some things at the beginning. You may not like the same things at the end. Just embrace your sensuality. Be a hoe or to not be a hoe. That's just a name. Be who you are. Do what pleases you. Long as it's consensual, long as you're safe, long as you're protecting yourself and you're not hurting anybody. And with all that being said, I have homework for everybody. So I have some references I need you guys all to check out. Your first reference is I want you to look at on Netflix. It's an explained season. In season 1, it talks about the female orgasm because again, it continues on talking about the social sexual scripts that we're played into our minds of how women are belittled versus men. You're put up there on a pedestal because men aren't looked as hoes. They're looked as like gigolos, players. A bad man. Whereas a woman, she looked as a hoe. Your other part of your homework is Becoming Cliterate. Why Orgasm Equality Matters by Dr. Lori Mintz. And then your other one that you can look at too on YouTube, what does it mean to be sexually liberated for a Black woman? Because again, we do have double standard for white women or Black women or any women of color, Hispanic women, Asian women as well too. And that's on YouTube.
Tammy's gonna put our homework in the comment section once we get off the show. So do your homework like the people say. And Rhea has some oh, look at you, Rhea. So good. And I see you in there. She has it up right here for you guys. It'll also be in the comment section. Way to go. And so that's why you can always come back. You one of those cousins. So before we leave, again, we are going to be taking this Mama After Dark to Clubhouse at 8:15. It's called, To Hoe or Not to Hoe. So if you want to talk, be a part of the conversation, join us at 8:15 over there. But Eric, what do you have for the people?
Oh boy, here we go.
Lady, I've been killing it while you've been away. I've been killing it. Okay, I've been getting
partial answers. Partial answers.
I'm about to say, I feel like that's
an over-exaggeration. Everybody, you've really been killing it.
I've been killing it since you've been away. But come on, Eric.
All right. Why are skeletons so calm and chill?
Because they all bones.
So calm and chill.
Because they cold? Because they ain't got no skin?
Because they make no bones about it?
I'm gonna go with Tammy. It was nothing gets under their skin.
I had kind of like the same answer. Like,
no, you didn't. You didn't.
No, you didn't.
You didn't.
Whatever. Well, anyway,
that's a point for me. Thank you.
Anyway, that's it. Now, Lainey come back, and now I'm off my game. So now she's off the game. All right, guys. If you have a topic, if you want to be on the show, if you want to be a sponsor, go ahead and email us at mamadidn'ttellmethis@gmail.com. See y'all at the club, 8:15. Bye, guys. Bye.
Peace.